Hello and happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to our fall product launch. We are so glad you're here. I'm Emma Meyer.
And I'm Sean Keane. And thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. We know we postponed the last one, which was about 2 weeks ago. And thank you for coming back. We had to cancel because I was a little bit under the weather then.
We're glad you're feeling better. But a lot of amazing things have happened in the past couple of weeks, actually.
Yeah, I got a promotion.
And I finally got engaged.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to us. Things are definitely looking up.
Yes, but today is not about us. Really, the theme of what we're going to be talking about is you guys, the audience. It's really all about you. And that's going to be the common thread that pulls through everything that we share with you today.
Absolutely. So ensuring that the audience has a quality experience, verifying that they're paying attention, and most importantly, reaching them on their own terms, which is a big theme of today's presentation.
Absolutely. And in the spirit of reaching the audience on their own terms, we want to say hi to everybody who's joining, not inside of the webcast, but either on Facebook or YouTube or over OTT on Roku devices. Thank you very much for joining today.
Excellent. So I'm going to switch gears here and just take you through a couple of quick housekeeping items. So as usual, at any point in the presentation, if you have questions, go ahead and get those in. And for everybody who's joining us on those social streams, you can get those questions in as well too, and they'll be ported right over to Sean and I. We have a couple of handouts. I'll get to those a bit later. And of course, our chat is pretty active. So welcome everybody. Let's go ahead and begin.
So first place we want to start is concept of video everywhere. And INXPO, we've been at this for a long time. Personally, I've been at this a long time. That's why they call me old man webcasting. But video is a very mature market. And with online video, people are used to getting content on their own terms, as you alluded to a little bit earlier. So one of the things that we're aiming to do is really switch the model of how webcast content is consumed and where it's consumed. So what I mean by that is that we know people are used to consuming content on their mobile devices. They're used to going to social sites, Facebook, YouTube. People love being able to watch online video right from their couch using an OTT device over the top. And that would be a device like a Roku or an Apple TV device. So we've really switched the model of what's done with webcasting. Of course, we could still reach the INXPO destinations, the video portals, the online events, or the individual webcasts. But we've now expanded the breadth of what we can do into social streams, websites, embedding the content, using it externally. This is really, again, in the spirit of reaching the audience where they are. The idea is, I think the old saying, if you build it, they will come, doesn't necessarily work. When it comes to video, people want it served up directly to them. And in the spirit of that, one thing that we are placing an emphasis on is that concept of over the top, OTT. These are the devices that you hook up in your living room and you're able to view a channel and consume content. Again, like Apple TV, like Roku. So to talk a little bit more about this, I think it'd be good to bring in who I like to call Mr. OTT, our global head of video, Ben Schroeder. Hey, Ben, how's it going today?
Hey. First, Sean, look at that. We're on Facebook. Everyone give us lots of hearts and thumbs up. As you can see behind me, we're also on OTT, right? So we are everywhere.
This is amazing. I call him Mr. OTT because he's actually in front of a Roku screen right now. That is fantastic.
And look at that little logo up there, man. The INXPO channel. Look at that. Next to Netflix. We are next to Netflix, above Hulu. We're delivering the content the exact same way they do.
And Ben, that's a big part of why this is so exciting. Do you want to speak a little bit about how OTT is so big and the reach that we have when it comes to OTT channels?
So think about this. I like to tell people when I got into streaming in the late 90s, we delivered to computers and laptops for one reason only. We couldn't deliver to TVs. Now, today, theoretically, you're just in America alone, you're already in over 28 million homes who could be watching it on a 60, 70, 80, 90-inch screen. Still watch it on your iPhone, still watch it on your laptop, still watch it on your computer, but everybody gets to be a broadcaster. Everyone gets to have a channel. Everyone gets to be in the living room and the boardroom.
That's incredible. And I know, we have come a long way because you talk about when you got your start in streaming video. I remember that when all video was postage stamp size. It was really tiny and grainy and gritty. And now the fact that like we're doing today, HD streaming, 720p, 1080p to these larger screens, it's a completely different experience than I think what we're all accustomed to.
It's 100%. I mean, think about this. We're delivering this content exactly the same way that Hulu and Netflix and all the OTT over-the-top providers do. So it's adaptive bit rate. You're not going to have this heavy buffering. The worst thing you're ever going to do if you don't have a great connection, the quality dips a little bit, just like you do when you're watching Netflix. To me, that's the most exciting part. High quality programs, deliver where your audience is, and make it sticky.
And delivering where your audience is, I think that's a big thing that we're solving for here. I know one example that comes to mind for me is, and we talked, one of our clients that we deal with, enterprise client, I visited their office. They've got screens everywhere. You know, everywhere you turn, there's another 52-inch screen, a 46-inch screen. And a lot of times it's just signage. It's saying like, here's a special in the cafeteria today. Now, when they do their global town halls, they'll have the opportunity to not just say, join via your laptop or join via your mobile device. Hey, we're going to stream it to all the screens in our offices globally so that everybody can participate. And that content, that global town hall, is now ever present in their office.
Absolutely. And Sean, speaking of screens, so one of the events that I worked on was the biggest physical event I've ever seen. And we were doing a really cool ESPN style news desk, which, I mean, that's amazing if you can see it in person and be there. So we utilized screens around the event. Again, it was huge, but did something really cool. We broadcast to all of the hotels in the area too. We've all seen that hotel television before. So we extended our reach. And this is actually kind of a cute story. My dad is always asking me if he can see any of the videos I've been working on or projects I'm working on here at INXPO. And we just got him his own Roku box for his birthday. So he was able to check that out and see some of the work I'm doing. So thanks, Dad. You're a great audience.
All right. So I just want to say something because I'm the proudest guy in the entire room because Sean and Emma, you guys get it. It's OTT, right? OTT is here. Streaming is here. Social is here. It's not just about a gated product. There's time and place for gated. There's time and place for registration. And there's time and place to reach your audience wherever they are. And I love hearing you guys say it. I feel like you guys are butterflies and now you're ready to fly. I've done my job. I could go on vacation.
Excellent.
Excellent. Well, actually, after talking to Mr. OTT so much, it was bound that for us to absorb that information. So Ben, thank you for joining today. Thank you for your part. And thank you for preaching the OTT story and joining us in front of a Roku device.
Really
That's right. I'm going to go turn around now and watch the rest of the program on my Roku.
Fantastic. Thank you much, Ben.
Bye, Ben. All right. Excellent. So switching gears here a little bit about health monitoring here. Went a little bit too fast. All right, so technology is designed to be as trouble-free as possible, but hey, it's technology, so issues do occur. So with health monitoring, it lets us identify exactly where those issues occur. So we recorded a little demo. Let's go ahead and roll the video.
This is the INXPO Studio Producer tool. This gives you access to a wealth of information about your webcast as it's running live. Now the star of the show is on the right-hand side of the screen. This is the health monitor. This is letting you know how many people are connected and what quality experience they're having from a streaming standpoint. So here I'm seeing this graph update in real time, my good quality users, my bad users who are having a poor quality experience, and then as that experience changes, I'll see this graph change in real time. Now I've got 46 users having a good quality experience, 2 having a poor quality, and then interestingly enough, if I click on 46, get a drill down, see who those users are, what OS, what browser, what CDN they're coming in on, and how long they've been connected, so I can learn more about them. In addition to that, I get access to a variety of statistics. How many megabytes we've served up, how many users are coming in via the Amplify eCDN, what CDN people are coming in on, what browser and what operating system. Again, all of this data is real time. So as users' experiences change or as new users come in or leave, I will see that reflected in these graphs in real time. Now, in addition to all of these powerful health monitoring tools, I get access to some information about my sources. These are the different video sources coming into the presentation. In this case, my presenters. And what you'll see is along the left-hand side, along the presenters, they all have a green dot indicating they have a high quality connection. And I can learn a little bit more about the upstream and downstream connection. If I'm going to click into a user, click into Emma, click into real-time graphs, and again, real-time graphs about video frame rate, video bit rate, audio bit rate. These update every few seconds to let me know the performance. Now this is the key, video missed packets and audio missed packets. This is letting me know how many packets have been dropped. So this is really helpful because if I'm seeing any sort of performance issue with Emma's video, I can go in here and diagnose, are we dropping packets? Is this a connectivity issue? If I'm seeing dropped packets, it means there is a problem with Emma's connection. If not, it means it's probably a problem with her camera or her computer or something along those lines, so I can diagnose better. I've also got my outputs, how many people are connected via Dash or via HLS. If I use social streaming, Facebook, YouTube, Roku, those would all appear here as well. And then I have access to my master audio. My master audio is controls for the overall audio of the presentation. So the volume, treble, bass, I can adjust those all here. So as you can see, the producer tool, access to health monitoring, and a wide variety of different tools, our goal here is simple. We wanted to give you the insight in real time to the performance of your webcasts so you can be proactive with responding to issues rather than reactive after the fact, kind of chasing issues after they occur. You can identify them in real time and respond to them much, much quicker. That's really the power of the health monitoring tool.
Excellent. So health monitoring also let me allow see how many times I checked my hair in that video. So that was very interesting. So health monitoring gives insight into the performance of the stream, but attendee checkpoints let you know if your audience is paying attention, which is incredibly important. So in the past, we've used polling questions to check if the audience is paying attention, where we've created a question to say, hey, are you still watching, yes or no? Which I'd hope people would select yes.
I don't think anybody ever says no, but the option is there.
Yeah, absolutely. So with attendee checkpoints, now we can do this without having to create that dummy content. So this is most appropriate for training cases when you need to make sure that, hey, if I have a webcast that needs to be watched for X amount of time, we can make sure that your audience is truly watching for that amount of time. So you can push out the audience. You must click. Oops, where's my slide? Sorry. You have to click and see and they'll indicate if they're paying attention. You can specify how frequent and how long the message appears. And the message itself is all tied to reporting, which is excellent.
And this is really valuable for those training applications where you're giving somebody a certificate and you're saying, hey, thanks for completing it. Rather than just, rewarding somebody who opens up the webcast, they walk away for an hour, come back and respond to the test. Now you can say, hey, I know for certain they were actually involved and engaged.
Absolutely. Incredibly important.
So next up, let's jump into the lightning round. I want to talk about a few different things here rather quickly. The first one is the studio system test. Now this is for presenters. This is really valuable because it gives you a dead simple way in order to ensure that a presenter has everything they need in order to be able to go live inside of Studio. So you send them the link, they run a quick test. The test will test their connectivity in their browser, give them simple and easy to understand instructions that can be sent back to us. And most importantly, it'll test their webcam and microphone to make sure that it's all smooth sailing for them. So it's a great way to prepare your presenters in advance. We've also got unique attendee links. This is interesting. You guys actually use this today. The way that this works is in the past, a user would register for a webcast and they get an email that says, click here to log in on the day of, and they'd click on that link and it would get them to a page where it says, what's your email address? Well, funny thing. We emailed them so we know their email address. So what we're doing now is we're sending out personalized links that when you click on it, it bypasses that login process. If you've enabled it, if there's no password, and lets you into the webcast. So it makes it a lot simpler for audience members to be able to get to the content.
Excellent. So this is something I'm really excited about. We've introduced the reverse counter for pre-recorded media. I'm always using pre-recorded media in my presentations. And in the past, I would just kind of have to guess when it was over. And you don't want to be stuck when your video ends and you're on screen just kind of looking at it. So we just did this when we rolled that health monitoring video. I was able to tell exactly when that video was ending and come back in. So incredibly useful. I'm going to use it all the time. All right, so we're going to switch gears here and go into the benchmark report. So of course, we run thousands and thousands of webcasts, which gives us some insight into some great data. So I mentioned earlier, we do have this available for you to check out in our handout section. So go ahead and look at that. But we just pulled out a couple stats for you that might be pretty interesting. So of course, this hasn't changed. The most popular days for live webcasts, still Thursday. So hey, we tried last time, but Sean got a little sick.
Yes. But we found out that Friday is the day that has the longest viewing duration. People stay the longest for webcasts that are on Friday. So when we rescheduled,
it worked out perfectly.
We targeted a Friday.
I think that's why I have a great audience today, which is great. Another thing too, and I think that this number is only going to increase, is half of our customers are leveraging video in their webcasts, which honestly, I would not be surprised if this goes up quite a bit next time. So we'll check in there. And then also, this one's kind of interesting, registration and attendance. So the numbers show us here that if you want to guarantee high attendance to your event, make sure you get that registration out earlier. I'm one of those people that likes to maybe register the day before for something, but I'm not the majority here.
Clearly, and I'm somebody who, I'm the opposite, where if I get, a link to something, I know I want to attend, I'll register like 26 days early.
You're such a good planner.
Well, and it looks like a lot of people fit in the same mold as me, like get that on your calendar so you can make sure that you can attend.
Absolutely. I think that's very important. So check that out. Again, download that. It's in our handouts. Great information for you.
Now, next up, I think we've done a lot of talking. I'd like to switch gears and bring in one of our clients. So I'd like to bring in Streaming Solutions Architect from Mozilla, Andy Kokendorfer. Andy, thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me, Sean. It's good to see you and Emma.
Likewise. And Andy, I'm curious, we've covered a decent amount of ground here. Out of all the stuff we've talked about, what are you most excited about?
Well, you've got many great features at INXPO that we're very excited to utilize. But I'd say health monitoring is one of the key functions that we are not able to get a hold of anywhere else. It's a key success metric, quality of experience, and that's not something that we've been able to give to our executive staff or socialize in the past. So it's not only avoiding embarrassing connectivity issues by diagnosing the network and helping presenters, find a better network if they're coming up in the presentation queue. But those experience metrics really allow us to socialize the success of the program, and that helps us.
No, that's huge, and we find that that's part of the value of this is the idea that, hey, anybody can say you ran a video, you ran a live webcast, 1,000 people came to it, but to be able to quantify what their experience was, and to be able to say, hey, 1,000 people came, and we could say definitively 990 of them saw a stellar HD quality video, and hey, there was 10 that had an issue, we could follow up with them. That's data that's never before been available. And I think it's great that we're able to track that both in real time, as well as the reports that follow the event to be able to see that data afterwards. Now, Andy, I believe from looking at the back-end Q&A, you had a couple questions you'd like to ask. Is that correct?
I did. How does health monitoring cover the social aspects of it, YouTube, Facebook, what have you, and OTT?
Great question. And you know what? In order to answer that one, I think let's go ahead and bring in our Director of Product, Ryan Vahey. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Sean. Hey, Andy. How are you guys?
Great.
Hi, Ryan.
Yeah, so Andy, to answer your question, as far as when we stream out to an OTT, a Facebook, a YouTube, we're simply sending that stream to the Facebook, to the YouTube, to OTT, where they then deliver that to our attendees. So all the health and tracking of those users will come from your OTT, come from Facebook, or come from YouTube. We really track when the user is responding back to our server, so we can know, how their connection is and what their browser is reporting back to us.
Great. You mind do you have time for one more question?
I sure do.
Sure thing.
Can you tell me what platforms are supported by OTT and social aspects of INXPO?
Sure, I could take that one. So, Andy, by default, we have presets built in for Facebook and YouTube, but we embrace industry standards. So what we have is an RTMP output option that you can send a video out to different platforms. So if you want to reach Peerscope, for example, you've got the capability of being able to do that. And we've got the output of HLS as well as MPEG-Dash. So if you want to have a site pull the content from our platform, we can do that as well. So the way to look at it is Facebook and YouTube have the options built in, but we can extend far beyond that since we do have it universal and it can scale up beyond just the two defaults.
That's fabulous. We reach audience in all of those aspects, both social on our YouTube channels and Firefox on the Facebook side. As well as on the Roku. You can find Air Mozilla on Roku. So we're happy to go ahead and output to all three at the same time.
Awesome. And Andy, that's a big reason we invited you to come across this, because I know that you really are on the bleeding edge of making use of all the different social channels and all the different streaming channels that are available. So Andy, thank you very much for joining. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So Ryan, we'll keep you on, and Emma, I think it's time for Q&A.
We have some great questions, and again, keep those coming. If you're joining us on social channels, go ahead and get those questions in as well. So Ryan, we have this first question for you. Are unique attendee links enabled for all webcasts, or are they optional?
Well, they're enabled for all, but it's optional whether you'd like to use them or not. So we kind of made it convenient, so it's always turned on and you can find them whenever you need to use them, but it's really up to you whether you want to make them available to your audience through an email campaign.
Excellent. And then Ryan, while you're on here as well, we'll have one more. Is there a limit to the number of different destinations that one webcast stream can reach?
No, Emma, there really isn't. As you're seeing today, we're sending this out to Facebook and YouTube and over to Roku. So there isn't a limit. The goal was that we want you to be able to reach your audience in any way possible that you can get them. So we give you every option possible.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Ryan. Sean, we have a couple other questions for you.
Sure.
All right. So here we go. Are attendee checkpoints supported on mobile, and what about on streaming sites and OTT?
That's a great question. So the answer to that is they are absolutely supported on mobile. The way that works is just like it does on the desktop, where it'll pull up a dialog box that runs. And I noticed there was another question in here about whether that interrupts the stream.
Yeah.
It does not. It puts a message over the video or over the audio. Presentation continues, and then you have a few seconds or however much time the show host the event host has set up for it to confirm that you're still watching. That does work on desktop as well as mobile. It does not work with the social streaming. The reason being is that the social streaming is just the stream going out, so we don't control the rest of the experience surrounding it. I'm not pushing dialog boxes to Facebook, for example. They're just taking in, they're in view-only mode viewing the stream.
Got it. All right. And then what platforms and sites are supported with social streaming and OTT?
That was the one that
was the one we just asked.
Yeah, that was the one that Andy asked.
That was the one. All right. So we have another question here about personalized links for standalone webcasts only or for full events as well.
Great question. They're for both. The thing to keep in mind with this is those personalized links, those unique links that get you right in the door. Those are for places where you're not using password protection, because sometimes you want to be a little bit more secure. You want folks to sign up and specify a password and use that to get in. If you're using a password, then those unique links to get you right in the door no longer apply. But we designed it with webcasts in mind, because usually those are like the one-off, get me right in the door as quickly as possible, watch the half-hour broadcast. However, if you want to use that same model for an online event, you can certainly do so as well.
Excellent. All right, so we have a great question here. We're wrestling with the latency during live webcasts. What should we do? What should the latency be, and what's the plan to reduce?
Great question. So in terms of the latency with webcasts, there is going to be some variance from user to user. And that's part because we have to transcode the video in the cloud. But the bigger part of that is if you and I are both watching in different cities, the path that the video takes to reach me and to reach you is going to be a little bit different. And I might be watching on Comcast, you might be watching on Time Warner, and Time Warner might have some sort of delay along the way. So the thing to keep in mind is, generally speaking, within INXPO Studio, people are seeing a delay of between 10 and 20 seconds. Now, you just have to be mindful of that when you interact with the audience, because the interesting thing is people aren't aware that there's a delay. People don't know that they're watching the stream 10 seconds behind, because there's really no way of being able to say that. What you have to be careful, though, is if you say, I'm going to drop something in the chat right now.
I've made that mistake before.
Right, and then people are like, waiting, and then it takes 10 or 15 seconds to get it. That's what you have to be mindful of. So the thing to be most thoughtful about is giving thought to how to manage that interaction so that stuff isn't visible and the experience is seamless. One thing I like to do is if I push out a polling question, wait a little while before processing the responses so that there's a little bit of a delay. We talk about something else, go to the response, then the audience doesn't know that there was any sort of delay or latency.
All right, cool. So another question, and this actually came in quite a bit. If I'm a company that has 40 TVs around my office, do I need 40 Roku boxes?
And I saw Dave earlier ask that question. Great question, Dave. It depends upon the setup of the office. And what I mean by that client that I was referring to a little bit earlier, they've got hundreds of screens around their offices. They don't have hundreds of video sources. There's not somebody who's got to go every Saturday morning and say, I've got a USB stick and plug a box of USB sticks with the lunch specials on them and plug them into each screen. They've got a distribution point inside each of these offices where they've basically got an HDMI splitter. I'm oversimplifying, but HDMI source comes in, gets split, goes to all the different devices. So in a scenario like that, no, you just need the one Roku device or as many distribution points as there are for those screens. Generally speaking, if you go out and buy 2 separate screens, yes, you need 2 Roku devices. A lot of TVs are coming with Roku built in.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about the enterprise and we're talking about bigger offices, usually there is a distribution point that we can plug into and distribute the content out.
And Dave had a follow-up question asking if we planned on matching our shirts.
We did.
Yeah, we did. We talk about this well in advance.
We spend as much time planning what we're going to wear as we do on the content.
Yes.
I'd say it's like a 50-50 split between the two.
I love it. I love it. All right, another question here, Sean. Does the broadcast always have to be live, or can you do pre-recorded sessions?
So great question. And I'm assuming that's in the context of social streaming.
Yes.
So it can, same models that you're used to seeing are applicable as well. What I mean by that is we can do live, we can do simulated live, and on the social sites, it looks just like it's live. We preserve the illusion of it being a live event, and then that content can be made available on demand as well. So same sort of model that you guys are used to in terms of the 3 different ways of being able to deliver the stream.
Excellent. So a couple more questions. You guys have a lot of awesome questions today, which is
because we did it on a Friday.
Yeah, I think so. People are motivated,
yes.
engaged, ready for the weekend. So question here, we do a lot of screen share sessions. What is the process for screen share now? This is a good question because it's a lot easier now.
That's a great question. So, and I think it's something I covered, and I will follow up with
Sure.
you to give you an example of this one, but it's dead simple inside of INXPO Studio. So there's a button in the lower corner that says share screen. You click on that, you can go ahead and begin sharing your screen out with the audience, and it just works that way. You hit end and you're done sharing your screen. And actually, let me see if I can go ahead and
It's actually one of my favorite things. It's so much easier now, so I love it.
And I'm going to hide this video because it's distracting, but here you can see, I know it's always distracting when I do the video on top of the video, but you can see all the different sources. Ben stepped away. He's just got his Roku. He's just watching. We've got us inside of here. Andy's in here. We've got all our slides. So I just hit stop screen share and I'm done. It's that easy. So it's just a simple one-click process in order to be able to share your screen inside a studio.
I love it. All right, great question here. Does the attendee monitoring checks work for both live and on demand? And this is something funny. I forgot to mention this earlier, but when I'm at home watching Netflix, I mean, we've all fallen into maybe a couple hour hole there, and it will ask you if you're still watching, and I kind of get offended. So I'm like, yeah, are you judging me or something? What's the problem here? So great question.
And the answer to that is yes. So you can program those points in and have that available for a simulated live or on demand as well.
Excellent. All right, let's look through here and see what else we have. Great questions, guys. This is awesome. All right, so I think that's about it for today. So
Excellent.
If there's anything we didn't get to, we can of course follow up after the presentation. So enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much. Friday the 13th.
Yes, Friday the 13th. Hope you have a very lucky day.
Yes.
We appreciate everybody joining today. And then if there were any questions that we missed along the way, I'll certainly follow up and we'll respond to those directly. But we really thank you. And of course, feel free to reach out to us with any additional questions that may come up along the way. We'll be happy to answer those. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.